All right, let's move away from politics and focus on that 2.6 trillion budget that was read yesterday in Parliament by Treasury Cabinet Secretary Henry Rotich. There are those who say there are very many winners and losers in equal measure. Allow me now to bring in Ambassador Amina Mohammed. She's the Foreign Affairs Cabinet Secretary in Kenya. Ma'am, thank you so much for speaking to us on News Center this morning. Good to see you. What are your thoughts on that particular budget?
I said yesterday that it was a very positive budget. It was focused on growth. It was focused on creating jobs. It was focused on ensuring that the social sectors were not left out. And it was actually very job-friendly, social sector-friendly. It was a budget that is intended for a middle income country, a lower middle income economy country that intends to move into the middle income economy bracket very, very soon. So it was an encouraging, a positive and exciting budget that was read. It encourages sustainability in the areas that we have seen growth. It is focused on ensuring that some of the areas that had not received as much attention before, like in the extractive industry, that received the support that it required. There was a focus, obviously, on the main, on the big ticket items, security, health, agriculture, tourism, education. So it was a very balanced budget. It was also a budget that intended to ensure that we used the revenue that was collected wisely and efficiently to meet the requirements and the demands of a growing economy.
Interesting that you say it's a very balanced budget. What's in it? What's in that budget for your ministry, Foreign Affairs?
Oh, for our ministry, foreign policy is actually a reflection of domestic policy. And so whenever we do well at the domestic level, our job is to project that onto the international plane. And I can say without any fear of contradiction or any hesitation that in fact the fact that today we have been able to increase FDI flows into the country 450% since 2013 is because of what we've done at the domestic level, that we in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs have been able to very effectively project on the international plane. It's also been a result of the work that we undertook with respect to high-level visits, because as you know, in order to attract investment, there has to be some level of confidence in the leadership, confidence in the economy, the fundamentals of it, confidence in what the plans and the policies of government are going forward. So basically some of the things we've done with respect to the high-level visits have been to ensure that we have the returns that we have seen today. Interest, for instance, in the manufacturing sector, and if you talked about the textiles, apparels, in the healthcare, and medical tourism, areas as well. It's because of the high-level visits that we've undertaken. For instance, the support that we're getting and the loans that we've been able to negotiate and the grants that we've been able to attract from countries like India. Currently, we're actually negotiating a $30 million facility for Rivertex, for instance. So these visits have ensured that our standing, our image internationally just continues to grow. And when it grows, people have confidence. And when one country invests, the others think they're being left out. So you actually see, a much faster involvement and engagement with us from others as well. And I actually credit all this to the kind of work that we have done, the fact that we have solid plans in place, and that every ministry and every government agency, including even the private sector, that we're all feeding into one single plan called the Vision 2030, and ensuring that our flagships there actually take flight, and that Kenyans can see the fruits of the work that they have done and the taxes that they have paid. And I can tell you also that just the fact that we're able to take care of the most vulnerable in our society, the fact that we can have free primary and free day secondary education, the fact that we can equip our medical facilities across the country, this is the result, actually, the direct result of the policies, the plans, but also the support that has been received from Kenyans in general. That we can collect revenue much better than we ever did. We've put systems in place, mechanisms in place, the awareness creation, the fact that people voluntarily want to pay their taxes, because now they can travel much faster on roads that have been built using these taxes. Now they can receive better health care, again, using the same resources that they have generated themselves. All that, I think, adds to what you had yesterday, a budget that tells you that we are the fastest growing in this region. We're growing faster than Nigeria and South Africa, and we are growing at twice the level of countries in sub-Saharan Africa. I don't think we can take that for granted. I think it really does mean that we are doing the right things, and that if we continue working in the manner that we have done in the last 5 years, that we will actually see much faster growth. No country on this continent has grown as fast as we have, and especially the big ones. And I think they had much more resources actually at their disposal. So we must be very proud of what we've been able to achieve as a country. So I think all that, if you take all that, you can see that our continues to point in the right direction.
If you can hear me, I know you've talked a little bit about Kenya's image, and actually that falls under your docket, ensuring that Kenya has a good image out there. Let's talk about external debt. And there have been concerns that some of the money that Kenya has been receiving has been misappropriated. And the concern that many have on their minds is, are global investors happy to put their mines in Kenya? What are you reading from global investors out there? What sort of image does Kenya have out there?
Okay, let me respond in this way, that Nairobi today is the best FDI destination city on the continent. Now, if there was so much concern from investors on how we are actually handling our debt ratios, right? You would not have that kind of investment coming into the country. I just told you that since 2013, the foreign direct investment flowing into the country has increased by 450%. I'd like to see a country that actually has that kind of increase in that period of time, from 2013, 2017, and you have, in fact, not even 2017, 2016, in 3 years, we've been able to increase it 450%. So I think that we in the country are probably, need to read this signs a little better to see that there's a lot of confidence in our country. There's a lot of confidence in the way that we are running and managing the economy of the country, the systems in place, the mechanisms in place. A lot of new manufacturers are coming into our market. Our private sector, extremely vibrant, probably one of the most vibrant on the continent. And so, you put all these things together, and you realize that, in fact, as much as we should always be cautious of what we do and how much we borrow, but the picture right now is a brilliant one. I think it's a good one. And we should, I think, continue along that road to ensure that our budget, our economy can be sustained, but also addresses some of the challenges that we face as a people, address the challenges of the most vulnerable in our society, make sure that the system we've put in place for cash payments continues, and in fact includes a wider bracket of people, that our educational systems, and again, there you see the evidence that we've been able to, as a government, reform the education system in the country much better than ever before.
Waziri, Waziri,
Yes.
foreign companies participating in international tenders are now expected to source at least 40% of supplies from Kenyan citizen contractors. What does that mean for Kenyans? Should be good news, though.
Well, absolutely, absolutely excellent news, because it just means that our suppliers will now join the global value chain, if you like, right? They're part of that global value chain, that the supplies that they produce actually meet the standards for infrastructure development, and especially if it's by foreign companies, because they will not just accept any wares, any products. And so it just means that we have come of age, and that we can actually demand that 40% of local content be included in any project that is being developed. I think that's good news. It means more jobs, obviously, because as a supplier, if you have a good contract with any of the project developers, then you employ more Kenyans. So it just means more jobs. Again, as I said, the budget is a pro-job budget, and therefore you'll see that in every sector, money and resources are being injected to the sectors that will produce the biggest number of jobs. Even if you talked about tourism, for instance, and the resources that are being injected into the tourism sector, that's to make sure that the jobs that are there are preserved, but also that they're able to employ many more people. 15% increase in the number of tourists that are visiting the country is not a small number. It's not a small percentage, but we need to see bigger numbers. So, again, it's been a good budget. Yesterday was a good day for us.
Yeah, clearly, yesterday was a very good day for you. Listen, I need to shift just a little bit from the budget, and part of Kenya's responsibility to its citizens is to protect them, not just within our borders, but outside the borders as well. And allow me to bring in the conversation on 4 Kenyans who were killed in Sudan. What do we know? In South Sudan, actually, what do we know?
Well, what we know now is a little more than what we put out as a ministry a few days ago. In fact, we were probably the first ones to alert Kenyans about what had happened in South Sudan. That the 4 were part of humanitarian workers working in South Sudan, trying to help the country stabilize, trying to support, again, the most vulnerable in South Sudan. And it's a tragedy that they got killed. We've been able, with the help of the employers, to retrieve the bodies, which will be coming back home. We are in conversation with the government of South Sudan. I met with the foreign minister 2 days ago, and we had discussions around this. They hope that they will be able to follow it up, investigate, and make sure that the perpetrators are brought to justice. We will be working very, very closely with them to make sure that this tragedy does not, go unanswered, and that, that those that did this are not allowed to do this anymore, but also that are brought to justice. Actually, that's all that I can say right now. But conversations are ongoing, both with the Minister of Foreign Affairs, but also with the security agencies in South Sudan. Our embassy is very, very involved in all these discussions. Again, every time, a Kenyan loses their lives outside the country, it's really sad. And all we can say is that, we express our condolences to the family members, and we pledge to give them support that they require at this difficult time. So, our doors are open, and we hope that we can continue having this conversation on what can be done, how we can support them going forward.
All right, so your doors are open. You're doing everything that you can to support the family members. Foreign Right, people, thank you so much for staying with News Center. We have tried to look at the top stories for you. The latest, speaking to Amina Mohammed, CS Foreign Affairs, on her thoughts on the budget, what it means for foreign investors. But also we've talked about that issue on Kenyans who were killed in South Sudan. We've talked about on the issue of Wiper, whether or not it's in NASA to stay. And trust me, as the day proceeds, we'll have more developing stories for you. That is why we leave it on News Center. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good afternoon. I'm Linda Ogutu.
I do a lot of stuff girls don't do. I clean.